Welcome to Growing E-commerce. I'm your host, Mike Ryan.
And here I am again. My name is Chris. Mike, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I've got a little bit of a cold, Chris.
And it shows massive commitment that we still do the podcast today,
Yeah.
although in a slightly different setting, directly from our headquarters, ladies and gents. But I think the topics are as hot as ever. And Mike, even 50% of yours are certainly enough.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate it. And I was told by our producer this morning that my voice sounds like honey when I'm sick.
Yeah.
And yeah, I should start smoking and drinking whiskey. So
I think this will be the breakthrough episode, mate,
yeah,
based on your voice alone.
we're going to top the charts. And speaking of topping the charts, I'm going to use that very awkward transition. We're going to talk today about Temu's app rank and what happened when they turned off advertising in the US, why that came about and what happened. And we're also going to have a look at OpenAI's new shopping feature within their ChatGPT search. And we'll round it out with we promised to do a steelman, strawman section on first order profit optimization, on profit optimization in general. And I have the honor of strawmanning this.
Let's see where we land here.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it.
All right.
I'm happy. Honestly, I'm happy that you are a little bit under the water because obviously I think I have a bit more chance today.
Let's see how it goes. All right. So without further ado, let's jump in. Let's jump in with the big T.
I want to start, mate, because I want to share again some roses and flowers with you, mate. And also shout out to our whole team, marketing team. Because ladies and gents, I don't know if you are aware of it, but Mike Ryan and Smart E-commerce were basically breaking the news, this big news that Temu stopped all their Google Shopping activities in the US. And this was big news, ladies and gents. Now, I think, Mike, when did we share the news? 1 week ago?
Yeah, it's a couple weeks ago now, and by the time this episode ships, it's a little bit receding into the background, but
still big. So yeah, we got cited in more than 700 articles. Big media outlets were directly in contact with us, and I'm really talking about big media outlets. One very famous media outlet, CNBC, wrote about Temu. Unfortunately, they didn't quote us, but yeah, I mean, this is life. But yeah, ladies and gents, this was really big, and we were proud and are still proud that we were the ones who didn't detect this first and broke the news. So Mike, shout out to you and the whole team behind you. It's really big.
Thanks, I appreciate it. I just want to in turn give a shout out to Joe from Marketplace Pulse. I should reintroduce him because I think he sold Marketplace Pulse a bit ago, but I mentioned Joe time to time on this podcast, and he was basically reaching out to me, letting me know that Temu's app rank was dropping, and it just, when two obsessive minds meet, good things come out of it. So it was crazy because we were like, I was looking into this. There's a lag in auction data, this reporting lag. It's always about 2 days outdated. So it's funny because Financial Times, Eleanor Alcott from the Financial Times had reached out to me on April 9th asking, how's everything going with Temu and their advertising? Have you seen anything? And I told her then everything's fine. But that day, they were actually starting to wind down their advertising, but we couldn't know that yet. And so this story developed rapidly from there.
And Mike, now the crazy news. I mean, I don't know if we're not allowed to talk about it. Please stop me right there. But Temu itself reached out to you, right?
Yeah. Temu's reached out to me before, by the way, but yeah, let's see. I'm gonna call with them next week with a couple of senior
serious people, huh?
Yeah, from their PR department, and maybe I'm gonna get a lecture. I don't know. I'm like Brad Pitt in Inglourious Bastards. It's like they'll probably chew me out. I've been chewed out before.
So, ladies and gents, if the next episode is done on my own, you know what happened to Mike.
Yeah, in case of my sudden disappearance or anything, it's weird. They asked me to meet at this seemingly abandoned warehouse.
Don't do it. I will join as your bodyguard. Okay.
Presumably, they're going to be opening up some more local inventory there and everything. It's their new warehouse. It hasn't opened yet. It's not abandoned. Everything's fine, Chris.
We will keep you posted, ladies and gents. But now, all jokes aside, to the listeners, I mean, the ones who didn't read our articles or the articles where we got cited. Temu is basically has been shutting down their Google Shopping ads activities in the US. Probably the biggest market for Temu, which has of course, a massive impact on not just Temu, but of course the market place in the US in general. There's some data we will show you. And what's very important, ladies and gents, of course, the one big question which came up as part of this shutdown of the Google Ads activities in the US is, okay, what is happening to the money, which is basically now
Mm.
free, yeah? And there were big discussions about, is this relocated to other big markets? Europe was one of the potential primary markets for Temu, of course. So we'll also talk about this. But Mike, just to review the whole thing, maybe you can shed some light on how you came up with the news and what happened since.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so this is something that I researched in the past. Last year, I saw that Temu's, a metric that I like to look at is the percentage of advertisers that are facing competition from Temu. And I've used this metric in the past to understand it as a proxy for Amazon's advertising spend, Wish.com. And it's a pretty robust metric. And, I noticed that last year that percentage was starting to drop. And they actually, most of 2024, they were winding or reducing, drawing back their advertising spend in Google Shopping in Europe, in the US as well. But what I discovered back then is that there's a very tight correlation, or there's a high degree of elasticity or responsiveness between this metric, this proxy for their Google Shopping spend and their app rank. And I don't want to say that Google Shopping is solely responsible for these effects. And indeed, they didn't just turn off their Google Shopping; they turned off like all of their advertising in the U.S. But it seems that they tend to move the budgets across their channels to a degree in sync. So anyway, when their app rank started dropping, it was clear to me that their advertising was probably dropping. And you can see in this chart here, the black line, just for listeners, there's a black line showing their impression share, which is another auction metric that Google provides. And I've taken this across a bunch of advertising accounts in the US. Their impression share in the US fell off a cliff starting April 9th. Within 3 days, it had gone to zero. They had dropped out of Google Shopping auctions. And at the same time, they were turning off other advertising channels as well. And about 1 day later, their app rank started plummeting. And so these two things moved just in complete kind of harmony with each other, just with a 1 day lag. And, they were consistently in the top 5 of all free apps in the US. This is iOS, or the iPhone store. And now, by the way, they're all the way out of the top 100. They've exited the top 100 after some weeks of having these ads turned off. So it shows you how dependent their app installs and their customer acquisition are. That's kind of a strategy of theirs. They're running Google Shopping ads, yes, to generate purchases, but also to bring that traffic away from Google and into their own app environment.
Yeah, and basically it speaks volume to the luring question, how sustainable the current business model of Temu is. And I think one thing we can all agree on is basically two things. They will probably relocate or reshift this budget to somewhere else, because the war chest of Temu is just, I wouldn't call it unlimited, but we can agree on that it's big. They have big and deep pockets.
Yes.
And another thing is, like you said, the dependency on so there is probably a very unhealthy share between organic direct growth and growth which is purely driven by probably unprofitable paid search driven conversions. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's certainly a point.
I've always been of the mind that their Google Shopping was not really working well for them. And I think we'll get to that again in a sec. But just to show you what happened next.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, immediately everyone was speculating, well, are they going to start shifting this advertising budget to Europe? And at the same time that their app rank collapsed in the US, they had a fluctuating app rank in Europe of between the top, or between 10 and 20 was their app rank typically. There's a lot of weekly seasonality, which corresponds to, from what I can see, seasonality in their ad spend. But then as soon as that shift happened, they popped up into the top 5 in Europe. So yeah, I mean, it definitely suggests that they immediately shifted some budget over. The question is where, and I'm going to show you now. For listeners, I've got a chart showing the daily percentage of advertisers facing Temu competition. And they were, for in the weeks preceding this change, they were very steadily around 61% of advertisers face competition. And this is like serious account level competition.
Yes. And the number is very, very high to put it in perspective, ladies and gents.
Yeah. I mean, the highest Temu has ever been was in December of 2023 when 80% of advertisers faced competition. And that's comparable to the amount of advertisers facing competition from Amazon, to
Yes.
put that in perspective. And yeah, they brought that down over the course of 2024 to about 60%. It's been stable. Then when this change happened, it was interesting because it was actually a few days later, we did see the percentage of advertisers climb up to about 70% in Google Shopping, mind you.
Which is crazy. I mean, we're talking about 10 percentage points within what is it? We're
A
talking
couple of days. Yeah.
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 Other retailers, I don't know, it takes months, maybe sometimes years, right? I mean,
Oh yeah.
it's really crazy.
Yeah, it is stunning because like it doesn't look that tall on this chart exactly, but that is to face another 10% of advertisers it's huge. But it was,
Operating already at this very, very high level. So
yeah,
the
exactly.
incrementality has to be super negative for them to
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But what we see is that this only lasted about a week and
That's interesting.
we don't know, this changes so dynamically. I told you that I had this call with Financial Times and a day later,
Yes.
everything had changed. It can all change again, but we see that they spent about a week increasing spend on Google Shopping and then they returned to where they were. I think they have no appetite to increase on that channel. I think that channel doesn't perform that well for them, which I've talked about in the past. But so that implies, since we saw that their app rank did increase very rapidly, basically coinciding with them turning off ads in the US, their European app rank increased and their shopping didn't go till a few days later. It seems that shopping was not responsible for that app rank movement. So it suggests that they shifted a lot of budget into probably on the Google side, maybe YouTube ads, but not so advertisers worried about Google Shopping right now. There's nothing to worry about from Temu besides the usual. Yeah.
But it's really fun looking at this data because I mean, you know this, Mike. We're working with the biggest retailers, online retailers in the world. So I know how tests of more aggressive. So in this incrementality test, what if I throw a couple of $100,000 on a daily basis into a channel, but to get a valid result, because that's what we assume, right? They tested for 4 or 5 days and they saw, okay, this channel is not working for us. If we spend another, I don't know, couple of millions, and that's the power, right, of big data. If you're as big as Timo, you can basically probably get valid results and interpretations of testings within a couple of days. It's really crazy.
I think that I think they already had a pretty clear picture on Google Shopping from the past couple of years, and they like this reeks to me almost more of desperation that they tried this. I mean, I think it was inevitable that they tried, but from what we can see, they just don't have the appetite right now, or they can't do it. And I've always said that, you know, Europe is hardly a safe harbor for a company like Temu. Consumers are not that enthusiastic about it. Regulators, lawmakers, other retailers, certainly not. So, yeah.
No, totally co-sign. I mean, we will keep the audience posted. Let's see. Maybe there will be another test flight, which by the way is highly disruptive for online retailers, of course, because they really move the market. So yeah, we have the data to keep you posted, ladies and gents, and yeah, really looking forward to more insights the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'll definitely be keeping a poll or keep checking the pulse on that and checking in, you know, weekly and all likelihood. But yeah, next on our agenda today, Chris.
Also interesting one.
For sure. We talked, how many episodes? We talked previously on this podcast about perplexity shopping. This basically,
and we had a strong discussion about Google's, I don't know, Google's position as one of the most successful companies in the world, and how perplexity and this new AI wave embedded into basically search providers could be a substantial risk to Google. And Mike, we have some news here which probably is feeding into this argument, right?
Yeah, for sure. And you know, I'm sure everyone listening has heard about this by now, but OpenAI has followed a very similar strategy, and they have, you know, they say that they are improving ChatGPT search including a better shopping experience. And that means that you can get this much more kind of rich visual image based experience when they detect a shopping related query, or I shouldn't say query, but yeah, I don't know what to call it, a conversation chat, and also the ability to check out, like to buy from there within your chat or within ChatGPT. So at this point now, let's recap this, Chris. Perplexity has a shopping tool, like
Mm.
an AI shopping tool. Microsoft Copilot is doing some AI
Yes.
shopping. Amazon has an agentic shop, yeah, or a shopping agent
Agent, yes.
experience. I hate
Mhm.
the word agentic.
Yeah, but
And I
it's
heard the word agentically the other day, and I was like,
holy shit.
it's too much
More
for me.
creative.
Yeah, agentically is it's just
But
it's
but
a bridge too
Amazon
far.
Amazon is active.
And now OpenAI is rolling this out too. So in fact,
What about Google?
it's kind of everyone but Google. Where's Google? And I mean, I think we talked about this before, but I've been personally asking that question for a couple of years now,
Yes.
and they have everything in place that they need for this. So I think it's going to come to the point soon that investors start asking this question out loud too, and Google is almost obligated to move at this point. Almost obligated.
Obligated, yes. But I mean, my stance on it before we talk about the details of this new OpenAI, search AI enhancement. I mean, if I don't know if you listen to the last earnings call of Google. I mean, Google is doing so well
Mm,
still that I think they have time, and I think they are really looking very very closely at what is the best monetization strategy. I think this is the only reason why they're holding back because, like you said, they have everything in place. They have the data. They have the
mm,
tech. They have the money. And I assume they have already everything set up from a technological perspective.
yeah,
Me, it's certainly a question, okay, what is the monetization strategy? Because what the earnings call of Google again applied, I mean, GCS is growing massively. The cloud business is really going through the roof, but search is still the main revenue stream for them, and I think they are very careful about that.
yeah.
But the second or third move, whatever they will be, I think once Google is really going down this road, it will be a big bang.
Yeah, I think so too. You know, they've got their developer conference coming up, their annual developer conference IO, as well as GML or Google Marketing Live, their annual marketing conference. And these two are going to be slightly overlapping with each other. And
Which is
something just,
yeah,
it, I just have a feeling. I just have a
yeah.
feeling, Chris.
I think
Like
you told me, right? It's normally there's definitely more time between.
they're a week apart usually, I think.
Yes.
And for some reason this year they have a 1 day overlap with each other. Or I
Yeah,
because I think IO is like 2 days,
Intel.
GML is 1 day, and it's on day two of IO. And
Mm,
I just feel like, they're building up to have this coordinated, and it could be something like this. Who
yeah.
knows? It's
Yeah, who knows?
speculation. But
I stay by my stance or my take. So I think although Google has everything in order to execute, I think we're still in very uncharted territory for Google because they have to execute.
mm,
If this AI thing, so embedding AI into their search environment, if they are not executing well here, there are players out there who are, at least as of today, are certainly ahead of them. And I think this is this pressure thing. I think Google has real pressure now,
yeah.
which might be a good or bad thing. We'll see. But that's certainly somehow uncharted territory for Google for a very very long time.
But I think also the user experience here is still very untested, because I just read a really interesting post from Jason Goldberg, and he was using Perplexity to make a purchase. He bought, like, it was from this US outdoors retailer, REI. He bought
Mm,
like I think it was a $12 bottle of sunscreen,
okay.
and that's what he paid through Perplexity. All good. Like, but he got order confirmation from Perplexity, and he got another order confirmation from REI, and he had provided his card details and stuff like that. But it's so weird because he provided his personal card details to Perplexity, but then the order confirmation he gets from REI has Perplexity's Visa card on there, not
Uh-huh.
his. And the amount billed was, instead of like $12, it was something like, there's another $25 on top of there.
Okay.
And so,
Handling fee.
well, digging into it, digging into it, the AI had selected the premium 1-day shipping that cost $25.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
and he didn't get billed for that, but someone's gonna get billed for that,
Of course. Yeah.
and I guess Perplexity must pay the difference. It's on their visa.
Okay.
That's his speculation, and there's other things he mentioned that, he didn't have a chance to apply his REI loyalty points. I used to be an avid REI shopper myself. My REI loyalty points were big because, yeah, anyway, they do their loyalty program properly, so
Mhm.
but, so there's still, from a customer
Yeah.
experience
Makes sense.
standpoint, it's pretty weird at this point
Yes.
still. And this is the kind of thing Google doesn't need to, they can let other people make those
Yes.
mistakes
Absolutely.
potentially. OpenAI has like 1% of the volume of Google. The question is, as always, which 1%? Because if they do start drawing in a lot of product searches, that's an Amazon strategy to capture product search. TikTok is looking to capture product search. Everyone is
Yeah.
clamoring for this product search.
And the majority of global searches is non-transactional in terms of not commercially viable or relevant. So I
Yeah,
think I'm absolutely with you. It's really about the type of market share you can attract with these features. I mean, talking about GPT search, I'm still wondering what does it mean for Microsoft and Bing ads, right? I mean, because how powerful would it be? Because GPT search is fast growing. We're talking about it probably a new users to a certain degree. How powerful would it be for a Microsoft advertiser to serve this new platform through my Bing account? You know anything about it, Mike? Or and what's your take on it?
I mean, I know a bit about it, but like I just think that there's a lot of kind of worrying priorities and interests here. I'm sure the Microsoft advertising team would love to have ChatGPT as a
Sure.
placement.
I know that for a fact.
Yeah, I'm sure about that. But there's got to be, other powers that be at Microsoft that see things a bit differently. Also, AI, OpenAI will have their own opinion here. Sam Altman, I think we talked about this before. He's been dismissive of
Right.
advertising. He
Mhm.
called it, I'll never get over this. He called it some number of dimes. And but interestingly, there were some leaked documents from OpenAI, and they have these revised revenue forecasts or modeling through the year 2029. And the main thing, the two things changed. It's like a bar chart. I'm not sharing on screen here. Maybe we can add it in post, but it's a bar chart with different revenue
Mhm.
categories like subscriptions and stuff like that. And they had an other category, which has been renamed as agents.
Mhm.
So they seem to have a
Yes.
plan to monetize through agents. And they also added in a new thing, which increases the height of all of their revenue bars. And it's called something like free user monetization,
Mhm.
and which sounds like a contradiction in terms. How do you monetize a free user? And
Mhm.
the answer implicitly is through advertising.
Advertising is the thing which comes on top of mind, yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, even dimes can become important if you have a burn rate of billions of dollars. So, like I said, these statements of likes of Altman and Zuckerberg that advertising is something not relevant to our business. Certainly, I'm better than that. I don't buy it at all, and but like, again, and I think this move now is basically a strong indication that they are going this direction.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
And just to quantify it, Chris, I mean, in these models by 2029, if I remember right off the top of my head, it's forecasting like 25 billion in advertising revenue, which is staggering to think about in such a short time. Certainly not dimes, and that's about like 20% of their revenue total. So it's a very significant contribution. Now I don't know if it'll be 25 billion or not, and what their total revenue height will be, but I personally have the feeling that advertising will be a lot more than 20% of their
Mhm.
revenue in
Yeah.
2029. Like to me, the math
It's
doesn't
not
math. I'm just, me. I'm bullish on ads.
interesting. Yeah, I think another topic we will have our eyes on, and we'll keep the audience posted.
Definitely.
Mike, looking at the time, what's
You
your
know,
take profit?
so
Yeah.
last episode for if someone's listening the first time, we promised to do a steel man, straw man. If you're not familiar with that, steel man is like, yeah, let's just say strongly in favor. It makes you in an argument seem as strong as possible. And straw man, you want to make it an argument seem as weak as possible. And we decided to talk about profit optimization, and I was unwillingly assigned the role of straw man. We're facing potentially the biggest recessionary environment, depending what happens with tariffs, in quite some time. And you, Chris, want me to tell people that their ads should not be profitable, or what?
Look, I mean, we can discuss this. So for the sake of having a clear frame for this discussion.
All right, let's go in.
Am I pro profit or anti?
You're pro profit. I'm anti. Or
right.
or like, let's say you're pro, like, profit optimization, first order profit.
Yeah, perfect.
All right.
Look, okay. Should I start with my argument?
Go for it. Let's hear it.
All right. Look, I mean, by the way, everything I spit out now is basically based on my experiences, I'd say, from the last 14, 15 years working with retailers. And the argument I make first and foremost is, if you're not capable of truly optimizing or at least measure the profit, whatever channel we're talking about, whether it's Google, Meta, Amazon, doesn't matter. You limit your strategic capabilities significantly. And I'll tell you one example. Whenever a client asks us, okay, dear Smart E-commerce, I would like to make more market. I want to increase my market share. Then the first question we are discussing with the client is, okay, fair enough. But what is the waterline you're accepting, in terms of your overall business, in terms of cash flow management, liquidity, and so forth? And every discussion circles around this one very, very glaring question. What profitability waterline I have and how much I want to cut this waterline? But you have to have this reference point. So before we jump into discussion how important it is to really optimize on profit, I think that you are capable of measuring the profitability of a channel, ideally of each and every acquisition / client. I think I have a very, very strong stance on this, that it doesn't make sense to not measure it by any means.
Yeah.
I think this one is hard to argue, Mike.
But you should absolutely measure your profit. Okay. But to kind of provide the counter arguments here, and some of these, they're kind of old chestnuts, as the saying goes. But the main argument against like a first order profit kind of optimization model is that you are sort of over optimizing, that this is excessively short term, it's excessively conservative, and that it's going to limit your headroom. Also, you really need to do a proper job of separating your new and returning customers, because otherwise your most efficient orders and superficially most profitable could be from returning customers and stuff like that. It's just going to perform better in the channel and so on. This is a significant variable cost. So that's kind of an idea there. And the classic idea I don't really agree with, particularly in this climate, it would be to talk about LTV and focus on LTV, lifetime value. But I just want to pick apart LTV a bit. Like, I think everyone hears the phrase lifetime value, and they think it's often thought of in this actually very top line way. But lifetime value is actually a measurement of profit over a longer time span. And that means it includes ongoing or recurring marketing costs that are necessary to retain a cohort or a user. And so, like, I think that there's a middle ground here, because LTV is a bit undefined. I've never found it particularly suitable for e-commerce. It really, I think its origins stem largely from like telecom and subscription businesses, and it became popular through SaaS products, software as a service products. So it got buzzy in Silicon Valley and VCs, and then in the pandemic, VCs started, like, there was a lot of acquisition and all this stuff, this activity occurring in e-com. Valuations were super high, and these things got, to my mind, a bit excessively mixed up, because it's like that. Honestly, the LTV of most of your users will probably be whatever the value of their first purchase was, because they won't buy from you again. So what I like.
Ask Temu. Ask Temu.
Yeah, ask Temu. Exactly.
A point taken, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, for me, a middle ground here, I think I can buy into the argument that first order optimization is a bit too conservative.
Mm,
And you can look at like, slightly longer time horizons, 30 days, 60 days, 90, depending on your business model and stuff like that. So I think that you can stretch your neck out a bit further. I think another key thing here is like the platforms. It is getting a bit harder to effectively target new and returning. Like
mm.
Meta has deprioritized these features a bit. Google is actually strengthening the features
Yes.
a bit, but it's very debatable how well they actually function.
Mm.
And I see a bigger issue here is that you do need to keep investing in customers over and over again, whether you like it or not,
Yes.
because we see with smart bidding, like your conversion data is being shared with everyone else. It's building one big model together. And if you're not bidding on that user, like you think it's your customer, it's
It's
not.
not. It has never
Um,
been yours.
yeah. And if you're not bidding on it, that signal is going to another advertiser and they are instead. So I think that you can ultimately kind of face death by optimization if you're too focused on profitability.
Yes. What I would co-sign is especially the implicit blurriness of lifetime value, because I think the real impact of optimizing on lifetime value is to a certain degree. I know there was a big quote of a very, very successful CEO of one of our biggest clients. Lifetime value is very comparable to religion. You have to believe in it, right?
Yeah.
And there's not this one way how to model lifetime. So I would co-sign that this lifetime, which is accumulation of profit over time, I think it becomes a bit blurry because it's really a question of belief.
Mm.
But let's talk about the profit again. The profit on maybe in a very straightforward way on my first order, right? If I'm not capable of measuring the profit, I'm just not able to act strategically. So the very point you make, Mike, that you're over optimizing on profit, meaning that you leave market share out there, which could perfectly suit your business objectives for the next 6 months, for the year, whatever, in order to really strategically take a kind of a data-driven decision,
Mm.
you have to be able to measure profitability and, very importantly, to potentially optimize on profitability.
Yeah.
Because another thing, and this is, I would say, another layer of this whole profit discussion is the disconnection between. So let's assume you can measure profitability. A lot of retailers, and even very advanced ones, big ones, are not capable to optimize on profit in the very channel they
Yeah.
want to optimize on profit.
Yeah.
So they optimize on Google Ads data, and it's completely disconnected from the actual profit calculation. And I think this is one of the biggest leverages for every retailer nowadays, to make sure that you have a clear understanding of profit. What does it mean to the company? And to really make sure that this profit is actionable in your most important channels. And it's unheard of. And sometimes I really scratch my head that even the most advanced retailers have either not a real understanding of profit in terms of channel impact on profit.
Yeah.
And most and foremost, they are not even connecting profit calculations to their optimization. So I have a very strong stance on this, but I co-sign with you that this over optimization might happen. Fair enough. But the basis in order to even take a decision to over optimize or being more aggressive to gain market share is you have to have this profit waterline, yeah,
Yeah.
actionable in your channels, in the channels you're active in.
Yeah, I mean, hard to argue with Chris. And I'm looking at the time. We don't have a lot of time left, but
But we agree on that, right? I mean, I
yeah,
think the measurability of profit is very, very important in order to make the strategic decisions.
yeah,
And where I'm absolutely with you, Mike, maybe we can conclude on that, is that because clients are not really acting on profit in, let's say, Google Ads, for the most clients, still the biggest acquisition channel there is, they are not even taking conscious decisions on over optimizing or being more aggressive in terms of let's get market share, because they don't have this reference point.
yeah.
So to the audience, guys, I think this is a very, very strategic topic you should put way more focus on if you're not already doing it.
I agree with that, Chris. And I don't know. Yeah, I'm not gonna try and get a last word.
You can. It's still your show, mate.
No, no, no. It's our show. We're on like episode 5 now, I think, co-hosting. So we're 5% of our way to our mission of 100, mate.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
We'll do something crazy. Episode 100.
Totally. We're gonna
Even
rent a
if it's
jet,
just
a boat.
that we flip our wardrobes.
Exactly. Find your dirtiest, oldest T-shirt, Chris.
No, you just have to send one of yours, mate.
Yeah, I think we're like similar size and stature.
Similar
So
size, of course.
yeah, yeah. All right. On that disgusting note, let's wrap it up. Thanks everyone for joining the show. We really appreciate it. This podcast is brought to you by Smarter E-commerce. So to learn more about Smarter E-commerce, visit us at smarter-ecommerce.com. And also, please, if you enjoy the show, leave a review on your podcast platform of choice or recommend it to a friend. We really appreciate it.